Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to my early mid-game archer guide. Before we begin the video, I would like to apologize for the lack of content for the past week. I've been kinda bored of Skyblock, so I took a much needed break and now I'm feeling refreshed. If you want to jump into the guide and not listen to me talk, then jump to the timestamp on screen. For the past week, I've only been playing Wynncraft, which is another Minecraft server that is free to play, and I'm having a lot of fun there. I've actually been thinking about making Wynncraft content, but I'm not going to until I fully comprehend the game mechanics and what I'm talking about. I don't want to try to sound smart without knowing what I'm talking about, and I would rather not give misleading or wrong information, so I will wait until I complete my first playthrough before I start posting Wynncraft content. Other than Wynncraft, I've also been reading up on a couple of mangas. If you're wondering what I've been reading up on, I've read 2 mangas for the past week, both of which were gender benders. I personally enjoy reading mangas like these, and just in case you're wondering, I'm heterosexual, which means that I am straight. I felt the need to address that because I will get questions regarding that for sure. As for the title of the 2 mangas that I've read, the titles are Boku Girl and Tensei Pandemic. As for which of the 2 that I prefer Boku Girl over Tensei Pandemic, and both are amazing reads. I would highly recommend both mangas to anyone that like gender bender mangas. Anyways, this video is not about Wynncraft or mangas, so let's get back to the main point. So this video, as you can probably tell from the title, is an archer guide meant for early or mid-game players who can't afford 3 to 5 bone ranks or any bone ranks at all, as a matter of fact. If you need a guide for archers with bone ranks, a card should pop up on the top right of your screen with the link to my other archer guide video. This guide will be showing you what you can get and run if you can't afford bone ranks. If you can afford 1 or 2 bone ranks, feel free to add them to your hotbar, but definitely keep a bow until you can get at least 4 bone ranks or a flower of truth. First up, let's talk about armor reforges. I won't be talking about ancient reforge because it is a fairly expensive reforge stone, and I'd say it isn't worth putting ancient on the armor sets that I would recommend you guys. However, with that being said, it is definitely worth it putting on Shadow Assassin armor. As a rule of thumb, if the reforge is more expensive than the armor itself, don't use that reforge on the armor. Of course, there are exceptions to this. Like when Shadow Assassin was the best for damage and people like me put Renowned on it, because Renowned was the best reforge for damage before floor 7. Speaking of Renowned, you can also completely forget about Renowned. It is much more expensive than Ancient, and Ancient is actually better for pure damage until you hit a certain point where the 1% stat boost actually matters. Renowned is only better than Ancient for slightly better effective health, but it is negligible. Oh, and it is actually better for Magic Find, which isn't that useful for dungeons. A great reforge to get that is very cheap right now would be the Spiked Reforge from Dragon Scales. The Spiked Reforge would be your best bet if you want balanced stats for low cost. It is better than the Pure Reforge in terms of damage and effective health, but slightly worse than the Fierce Reforge for damage but with slightly better effective health. But if you want to go extremely cheap and use basic reforging, Fierce is the best for pure damage. In order from left to right, it goes from common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, and mythic. If you want to balance out your damage with effective health, then go with pure. The pure reforge is the budget version of the spiked reforge. Here is a side-by-side comparison between pure, fierce, and spiked on armor pieces. Just focus on the bracket. Pure isn't as good as fierce for archers, mainly because attack speed doesn't matter for us archers. But you get health and defense as well to compensate for your low effective health as an archer in Skeleton Master or Skeletor. It all depends on what you want to go with. For damage, definitely go with fierce. If your main concern is survivability, go with either heavy, reinforced, perfect, or giant for more effective health. Heavy reforge is obtained from basic reforging. It costs 2,500 coins per attempt, and you can reforge at either Malik or the blacksmith at Hub. Heavy reforge is a cheap option, but I wouldn't recommend it. It reduces your crit damage depending on the rarity of your armor piece. A better option would be the reinforced reforge, which can be obtained from a rare diamond, which you can either buy for around 500 to 3,000 coins on the auction house, or kill mobs in the deep cavern for it. It costs 25,000 coins to apply to an epic piece and 50,000 coins to apply to a legendary piece. It gives the exact same defense as heavy reforge, but without the reduction in crit damage or speed. It also isn't RNG based. With the heavy reforge, it could potentially cost more coins to obtain if you take more than 10 attempts on an epic or 20 attempts on a legendary piece. The next reforge that I would recommend for slightly richer people would be the Perfect Reforge. The perfect Reforge can be obtained from a Diamond Atom, which is a rare drop from an Angry Archaeologist, which is a mini-boss inside dungeons. It costs around 300,000 coins to purchase from the auction house, 300,000 coins to reforge on an epic piece, and 600,000 coins to reforge on a legendary piece. Reinforced and Perfect gives the exact same stats, but Perfect Reforge has a passive ability which increases your total defense by 2% per piece. I am not sure if that applies to defense after blessings. If you are on a tight budget, go with Reinforced, as it is basically the same thing, but without a 2% bonus. The last Reforge will be the Giant Reforge, which can be obtained from a Giant Tooth. The Giant Tooth is a drop from the floor 6 chest, and it costs around 500,000 coins to open a chest containing the Giant Tooth. It can also be obtained for free as a milestone reward for reaching Sedan 1, which is 50 Sedan kills. The Giant Reforge is the most expensive option out of all the others, and it gives you health instead of defense. As for whether or not it is better for effective health, I have no idea, but I would like to assume it is, since it gives a lot more health than the other Reforges give defense. It costs 500,000 coins to apply on an epic piece, and 1 million coins to apply on a legendary piece. Conclusion: Reinforced is the best for people with a really tight budget. Heavy Reforge isn't that good because it might potentially cost more than the Reinforced Reforge. Perfect is the same thing as Reinforced with a 2% bonus in defense, and Giant gives health but is the most expensive. For damage, Fierce is the best for pure damage, followed by Spike and Pure. Spiked and Pure gives more balanced stats, so you can consider that. Next up, armor sets. For armors, I have 4 different sets: the Skeleton Master set, Zombie Soldier set, Zombie Knight set, and the Skeletor set, all of which were reforged to Fierce and 5-starred. On screen, you will see the comparison between the 4 sets of armors outside of dungeons. I will also be doing a comparison of these sets of armors inside of dungeons as well. Now keep in mind they were all of epic rarity because I'm a cheapskate, and the stats are slightly different because of the floors in which they were obtained. But that shouldn't matter too much. It makes a difference, yes, but since I'm only using it for testing purposes, the overall outcome shouldn't be too different. I would also like to mention that you are free to switch out any armor pieces with Shadow Assassin or Necron pieces should you want to. You may run, for example, 3/4 Shadow Skeleton Master and Shadow Assassin boots, or any of the Shadow Assassin or Necron pieces. Also keep in mind that the Skeletor set gets better the more Skeletor kills that you have while wearing the Skeletor set. And I've heard from an old archer friend that back in floor 3, full Legendary Skeletor outdamages full Legendary Skeleton Master, although it is much squishier. But back then, Skeleton Master was bugged where the full set ability doesn't work properly, but I've heard that the bug was apparently fixed. So just keep in mind that the Skeletor set that I'm using hasn't reached its full potential just yet. Here are the results. Outside of dungeons with a level 82 Legendary Skeleton pet, I dealt 280,000 to 350,000 with 10,160 effective health in Skeleton Master, whereas I only did 170,000 to 250,000 damage with Zombie Soldier, but with a higher effective health of 12,663. Skeletor set, I did 190,000 damage to 300,000 damage with an effective health of 9,582, netting it the lowest effective health out of the 4 sets. In Zombie Knight, I did 180,000 damage to 250,000 damage with an effective health of 11,956. Now, let's head on to floor 6 to test out the effective health and damage of the 4 different sets. To test out the damage difference and effective health difference while inside dungeons. In Skeleton Master, I get about 39,776 effective health. In Zombie Soldier, I get about 60,661 effective health. Whereas in Zombie Knight, I get about 52,716 effective health, and in Skeletor set, which was the lowest effective health, I had 38,892, which happens to be slightly lower than Skeleton Master. As for the damage test, I'm pretty sure the damage will be similar. The damage test will be very similar to the damage test outside of dungeons. I'm not sure how much damage I will do in these 4 different sets, so let's find out. In full Skeleton Master set, I did about 7 mil to 9 mil damage to trash mobs, and that's actually pretty good, considering that I'm in full Epic Skeleton Master with a Legendary Skeleton pet. So I deal about 7 mil damage to these trash mobs, 7 to 10 mil damage to trash mobs. That's what I'm getting from these trash mobs, and right here, I died. Okay, now that was a little bit embarrassing. Let's go to floor 5. I'm pretty sure I won't die in floor 5. So let's continue on with the test. So in full skeleton master in floor 5. Oh wow, that did a lot of damage. Okay. Wait, am I gonna die in floor 5 as well? Nah, that can't be. This is floor. Okay, I'm actually. Okay. You know what? Third time's the charm, right? Let's go down to floor 4. I'm pretty sure even I won't die in floor. Wait, what? Skeleton. Hello? What? Someone end my misery, please. I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, I swear to God, if I die in floor 3, this will be the end of my YouTube career. I'm quitting the channel. I'm deleting the channel if I die in floor 3, okay? Now let's see. Starting off, my damage is around 6 to 10 mil, as we've mentioned earlier when I was doing the floor 6 run. The damage that I'm dealing isn't that bad. It's actually quite good. 6 to 10 mil and full in skeleton master with a skeleton pet is pretty decent, I'd say. It isn't the best, but it isn't the worst either. So, okay, let's get back to the point. The damage I'm dealing in skeleton master is around 6 to 10 mil. Now let me switch armor sets. Now I'm in zombie soldier. Zombie soldier has a lot higher effective health, but I'm not really sure about the damage, so let's test the damage. But first, let me take off my Hyperion with my AOT because I don't really have a lot of mana to use. I did about 4 mil to the Skeletor, which isn't that great, and oh wow, it's not that good. I'm only doing 46 mil damage in zombie soldier. The damage that I'm doing to these trash mobs is around 46 mil in zombie soldier, and it isn't exactly the greatest. I would definitely prefer something better. But still, 46 mil with more effective health, I'd say it's worth it. I did 8 mil there probably because of my return bow. Now let me switch to Zombie Knight. Immediately I noticed that my speed went up, and I did about 7.8 mil to the sniper. And let's go find some other trash mobs to do the damage test against. 5.2 mil to the crypt, and 4.9, 3.1. My damage is pretty inconsistent, but I'm averaging around 5 mil damage to these trash mobs. I'd say my average damage is 5 mil. 5 mil average damage with full zombie knight. Now let's go look for other trash mobs to. Let's do one more. Yeah, 5 mil. 5 mil to the Dreadlord. I don't really want to kill the Shadow Assassin there because I don't want to kill him and get a blessing because it'll mess up my calculations. So let me just do a Skeletor set and let me go find other mobs to test against. In full Skeletor, I'm doing about 8 mil. 8 mil. That's pretty good. 8 mil up front. That's actually really, really good compared to the Skeleton Master set. Yeah, that's actually really good. I'd say this is the best set for damage. It's ideal around 6, sometimes 6 mil. But I've noticed most of my damage is around 8 mil to 10 mil damage to these trash mobs and 11 mil. Oh yeah, I got a blessing of power 5 from the mini boss. And wait, the Diamond Atom. Wait. Hold up. Lol, I just got a Diamond Atom from the mini boss that I killed earlier. What the hell? Okay, I'll take it. It's a free 300k. I'll take it. Why not? So for a quick conclusion, I deal about 6 to 10 mil damage with Skeleton Master with starting effective health of 39,776 effective health. In Zombie Soldier, I did about 46 mil damage with an effective health of 60,661. Zombie Soldier has the highest effective health out of the 4 sets that I recommend. Now moving on. A Skeletor set, I deal around 6 mil to 9 mil. Mostly 8 mil damage, but since the lowest I did was 6 mil, I'll write 6 to 9 mil, giving it the second highest damage out of the 4 sets, with an effective health of 38,892. As for the Zombie Knight, I did about 5 mil damage per hit consistently, averaging around 5 mil damage, with an effective health of 52,716. So these are the final rankings for damage and effective health between the 4 sets, and feel free to pause if you wanted to read. And I would like to mention one more time that the Skeletor set did not have max out stats. So the Skeletor set can potentially beat Skeleton Master. I'm not really sure, but it can potentially be the Skeleton Master. Just keep that in mind. As for pets, it is really simple and straightforward. You'd want to run an epic or legendary skeleton pet. Definitely legendary preferred, but epic works as well. Or an uncommon griffin pet. You may also choose to opt with a rare enderman pet, as it is the cheapest damage pet that's viable out there. Or you can also run with wither skeleton or literally anything that deals damage, as long as it's a damaging pet. But the best to choose from will definitely be either the legendary skeleton pet or the uncommon griffin. Oh, and for the late or endgame players who for some reason is watching, keep in mind this guide is meant for early or mid game players. Ender Dragon and Legendary Griffins are definitely better, but they aren't possible for these early or mid game players. And if you need a tanky pet, I would recommend a rare blue whale. If you can afford a legendary, that's definitely the best. An epic baby yeti is also a good option, but it is a bit too expensive, and the legendary blue whale gets the job done. If you want to go for another option that is also fairly cheap, I would also recommend an epic turtle as well, since it is fairly decent, I guess. I haven't seen anyone actually use one, but who knows? It might actually be a good pet. As for your talisman reforges, you want to put shaded on everything that is epic and below, and strong on your legendary or mythic talismans. You can get the shaded reforge from the dark orb, which is a chest drop from the floor 5 chest, or you can purchase it at the auction house for about 380,000 coins. And as for your weapon of choice, the machine gun bow is a must have. You must get it as it is far too useful to skip out on. You can activate the machine gun bow ability, then switch to another bow and still get the effect from the machine gun bow. Not to mention that it deals pretty decent damage too, and you may very well be able to do an entire run without switching bows. Other choices that are good would be the undead bow, super undead bow, which can be purchased at Ophelia for 100,000 coins and 1 mil coins respectively. For me, they're cheaper because I have sealed the family, and if you can afford a death bow or have the catacombs level requirements, use it. You shouldn't be watching this guide. You should be watching my other guide. And the machine gun bow only costs about 5,000 coins from the auction house, or you can get it as a drop from skeleton masters in dungeons. You may also get a sniper bow for puzzles specifically, since it is also a really cheap bow that is really amazing for puzzles. If you can afford a last breath, it is also super helpful against mini bosses and bosses, but it is not a must-have unless you're super sweaty. Another good bow to have is a spirit bow, because as a low level you might die and have no way to revive yourself. When that happens, you can still be useful to your teammates by shooting your spirit bow, even if it deals insignificant amounts of damage. You may also choose to run with a hurricane bow. It is a cheap bow that's pretty decent for fights, and if you put Ren on it, it does decent against mini bosses. Even though Ren was sort of nerfed, but it still kind of works, I guess. And here's the good stuff. If you can afford to get your hands on a Flower of Truth, you are basically set for room clear and survivability. The Flower of Truth is a really good weapon to own as an archer, even though it isn't a bow, which isn't meant for archers, but it's still a really good nonetheless. Once you get your hands on one, the ability can heal up quite a lot with lifesteal, and the fast cooldown and ricochet ability means that you can clear rooms pretty efficiently and quickly. Sorry if I'm speaking a bit too fast, but the video has been going on for far too long and I'm trying to speed it up as much as I can so you guys don't have to watch a really long video. And because I've been working since 6 PM and it's currently 3 AM and I haven't made much progress. Alright guys, it's the final push. These are from my final tips for aspiring archers. Remember, you are an archer. Pure archer playstyle is special and very different from mage, berserk, tank, or healer playstyles. The biggest tip I can give you as an archer is that positioning is absolutely key for good archers. If you can position yourself properly and make good decisions, you won't have any issues with archer. Try to aim for 4 bone ranks as you go. Start with 1, then 2, then 3, and consider getting a 4th bone. The 5th isn't as important, but once you get 4 bones, watch my other archer guide video and learn more about what you should get. And if you are running the setup that I provided, make sure that you are always attacking from range. Remember, you are an archer. Your biggest advantage is your ability to attack from long distances. Use that to your advantage when playing archer. The only exception to this is for bone rank archers or if you have a Flower of Truth. Make sure to attack from as far away as possible without making it too hard for you to aim or hit the enemy. Stay at a distance where you can comfortably hit the enemies and safely. And with that, this is the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching, and if I missed anything, please let me know in the comment section down below and I'll make a comment and pin it with all the information that I left out. I would like to apologize for the super long video, but I hope you guys found this guide helpful. I've made multiple timestamps so you guys don't have to look for the important parts, which I hope has helped in maneuvering my video. Anyways, I won't be talking too much. Once more, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all later. Peace out.